The difference between fresh and frozen food is nearly zero. I mean, look at these Brussels sprouts. Do you see any difference? Well, yes. This one that I'm holding is fresh, and that's going to wilt faster. And that's not a problem. They taste virtually the same. Now, we're going to talk about canning real quick. Canning started as a way during World War II to preserve things. Chef Boyardee was the main thing. So to preserve it, they use old-fashioned things like lots and lots of sugar and salt. Both of those are really known to, well, prevent any spoilage. So sugar, most commonly known as Chef Boyardee, along with citric acid. In this tomato sauce, there's some citric acid. You can see it right on their ingredients list, and you know it's a big ingredient in it because of the weight distribution. Things are rated on their highest to lowest. So yeah, citric acid. But the thing is, with freezing, we found that it does actually nothing to it. No taste, no textual difference. It preserves the color and the taste almost to an extent where this Brussels sprout would wilt and just become nothing. But this one can stay in my fridge for years and will taste virtually non-difference. Now, of course, there is some concern about it, but a lot of frozen things do help. They have no preservatives, so no altered tastes, and they are picked at a perfect time. Sushi is commonly known as being raw fish, and guess what? It's preserved because it has to. And whenever it's frozen, it kills the bacteria, so there's no need for a preservative to prevent bacteria growing on it. And that's why I buy traditionally a lot of vegetables frozen. Here's a vegetable soup thing that you should try. So I start off with an onion. I don't have any frozen onion. You just got to chop that up in random chunks. This is a great thing to do during kind of winter and, when it's kind of cold and you need something hot. Not great for August, but it's still pretty good. And you can, of course, cool it down. But just do random chunks. I find that the chunkier it is, the better it is. Then you're going to add some water to a pot. Not too much, but not too little. Do about half a cup or a half. That's about a cup. And then get that on the burner. Now pour in your onions. You can do red, but you can do white, but I'm doing red because of the recencies with salmonella being on white onions. Then again, that's because I live in Michigan. You probably don't have that. Now, once that's kind of falling apart, and I can kind of tell that it's a little weaker, you're just going to keep on stirring it. This is the thing that's going to cook the longest, and you could cook this forever, basically. But I like to make sure that it's kind of whitish and a little chewier, because everything else will be pretty chewy as well in it, in the final dish. So you're just kind of going to let that, sorry if some steam got on the camera, but yeah. Now I'm prepping a bottle of white wine. I always like to have white wine in my sauces and in my soups. It's a lot fresher, a lot fruitier. But of course, if you don't want to use alcohol or don't have any, you can use a little bit of white balsamic vinegar. Of course, season with salt and pepper, of course. Do that in the beginning and sort of towards the end. I do it at least 3 times. And don't skimp out, because remember that there's not much flavor. The onions won't be as pungent, the garlic won't be as pungent, and the carrots won't be as snappy. So add some flavor. Now, I'd let this sit for at least 20 minutes. That seems like a lot of time, but you gotta remember, this is just gonna be better and better over time. You don't need animal broth, you don't need anything. Adjust the heat whenever you start this. Whenever it starts boiling, crank it up a little bit, but usually I keep it on medium-high. Now, I'm going to get some other veggies ready. I'm going to use the frozen medley bag. I find that is one of my favorites because it has a lot of vegetables in it. It has carrots, peas, which I don't usually like to add this early, but since it's frozen, it will keep its color. Now adding the white wine, and man, that's going to be great. If you don't like cooking with alcohol, don't worry. Most of it will get at least somewhat burned off, but of course, you could just use some more water and balsamic. You can see there's nice carrots, corn, and peas in it. Really good. And that will also help cool down the sauce. But of course, we're not putting this at the end. This is the middle part. Now we're going to have to turn the heat up a little bit. I didn't have to, but you can see this is really chunky. It's more of a stew, so I'm going to add some more white wine. I probably should have added some more water. Adding too much white wine will kind of dilute the vegetable brothness that it already gets from it, you know? But it's still really good, and you could cook this for hours upon hours upon hours. This is one of those meals that I always like to say is something that you could do on a work call. You come home from work, you put on a little thing, you put this on with shallot and some carrots and, other items, and then you just let it sit until you're ready to eat, in which case you can do the final prep work. And this is something that my mom would always do whenever it was kind of cold outside, and whenever she had work to do around the house, like laundry or anything else. I'm just letting this sit. I'm not altering the footage at all. This is not lengthen and shorten. Now I'm going to prep some garlic. A classic minestrone thing is to take garlic and put it in at the right end. I don't like to do that. I think it's too pungent. And honestly, I've just been using 3 dishes so far. I've used a pot and I've used a knife. You don't have to use a cutting board, but my countertops need a cutting board. And I'm going to dirty a garlic press. Now the thing is, I like garlic presses because they keep the skins. I hate peeling and chopping it, and yeah, it just seems like a lot of work. So yes, I'm probably not getting that much garlic, but it's worth it. And I do like to add a couple bits of butter. You don't have to. You can always add some cream if you want it to be heavier and kind of thicker, but really you don't need to add it. I just like to add it for taste somewhat. But of course you can just skip that out and just choose to go for the all-natural vegetables. Now, that is a little loose, so I did add some water when I cut. I did add some water a little while ago. I did cut one time, but I'm just letting this sit, and that's the point of it. I'm prepping my garlic, and I could be, I don't know, on a work call. I could be watching TV, playing video games, playing with my kids. I don't have any, but, I could. And this is something that I think is great for the winter, when you have to get everything prepped. Maybe you're doing some Christmas wrapping, or some Hanukkah wrapping. In goes the butter and the garlic, and we are going to let that press. Now, I really just love how I can just put another one in without having to clean out the skins, or have to dirty a knife up. Look, done. Garlic in. I do about 4 cloves. That seems like a lot, but it does get kind of diluted. If you added this at the very end when everything was cool, I'd say add 2 cloves. That will be as pungent, but I like this for the more pungency, long-lasting pungency. Is that a word? Long-lasting pungency? And guess what? I'm just going to clean this. I just have to rip out the skins and then put it in water. And that's it. That's it. That's all I have to do to the garlic press, instead of having to dirty up a knife and a cutting board. Now I'm just going to kind of stir it to get everything mixed together, get that butter dissolved. You could do more butter. I did like half a tablespoon, maybe a little more, but yeah, you could definitely do as much as you want or need. Sorry, the camera got a little foggy, so I had to clean that up. I don't have my vent on, so that's probably why. And it's looking really good. Probably will add a little more water towards the end, but I have a trick to add water while also cooling it down to eating temperature. That's something I'll show you in a little bit. And that's about it. You're gonna have to let this sit. I did a total of 40 minutes? Yeah, 40 minutes. And the whole point of it is just to get it ready so that you can eat it. Now, I probably should speed this footage up, but it doesn't feel worth it because, it works. I want to show you how long this takes. And we could talk about other things. You want to talk about Spawn? I finally just finished reading Spawn. Oh, Dark Knight's Death Metal's coming out soon. Guess what I'm doing right now? Washing the dishes, getting everything ready, table mat set up. If you eat in front of the TV, get ready for that. I think that this is just such a good recipe to do whenever you're hungry. Now, during this time, look what I could be doing. I could be making chicken, or steak, or salmon. If you really like that, you could do lamb. You could do a bunch of things during this time. There's no need to waste time by making multiple things. Now this is about ready to come off. I'm going to pour some ice cubes in it to not only dilute it, but add some more water, but to cool it down, and those will melt in a flash. So that's not too good to eat right now. I would have added frozen peas, but this vegetable medley I didn't read and had some peas already in it. Salt and garlic. Not garlic, pepper. Always add that in. Couldn't do it since I was holding the camera. And then we're just going to ladle in some spoonfuls. I like to add some olive oil at the end, just the top of it. It will just really nice add some fruitiness and kind of some texture. Plus, olive oil is one of those things that's really good for your brain. Those things are salmon, olive oil, and avocado. Try to incorporate one of those into your diet each day in a good amount. I'm not saying that you should have drank nothing but olive oil, but you should have some avocado toast once in a while, people. Or have avocado toast and salmon and olive oil. Wow, that's a combination for another day. And look, we're done. I'm just going to pour in some olive oil. Just some high quality one that I get at my local store. I could use avocado oil, just if you're asking. I could do that. I probably would like that more. And this is hot, so I'm going to let it sit for at least 10 minutes. I prefer it to be a little colder than hot, but, it's good either way. It's good even freezing cold. Now I'm going to get some basil. I have 2 big leaves on my 2 big plants that are growing. So I'm just going to take 2 of those and tear it up with my hands when I get inside. And add it to the soup. And this kind of supplements the way for cabbage. I know some people would like to add brassicas in it just to soak up that nice soup broth. But that's something that I don't like to do. This is something that my mom would do with frozen and canned vegetables. It's good either way. It doesn't matter whatever you're using, just matters as long as it tastes good to you. And that tastes really good. I'd say add more vegetables than the broth itself. The broth is a little boring and can be quite dosey, so I'd always add more vegetables at the end. And that's really good, and it's healthy. You should eat it. That should be your dinner sometime. Anyway, I'm Rodimus2099. Hope you enjoyed. That was good. See you next video. Bye.